Is my screen visible? Okay, okay. I got a yes, ma'am, from there. Just a minute. Good. Okay, so today's topic is on skin prick test. What is important before I start for me is that I should thank my teachers who have taught me everything about allergy. As ENT surgeons, our focus is mostly on treating the pathology surgically that we see, but more often than not, we are in a flux when we see our patients come back with similar complaints, not happy. So it is important to delve into allergy completely so that we understand the pathophysiology behind the symptoms of our patients. So, a note of thanks to my teachers, Dr. P.K. Vedantam, Dr. D.J. Christopher, Dr. Narmada, and Dr. Vinay Mehta. So, this study is important. The Global Allergy Asthma European Network Study, it is also called as a Galen 2 surgery. I'm sorry, Galen 2 study. So it was a combined observation from the European Academy of Allergy and Clinical Immunology, the Nordic standards, and also the ISAC, that is a phase 2 protocol in allergies. So they all came together and put forth very relevant and very important of very important practice guidelines on how we should do skin prick test, why we should do skin prick test, and how to interpret it. So, like last time we spoke about the pathophysiology of allergy, so I'll just go through it once more. Is the diagram visible? Please let me know if there's any problem.
No, yeah, it is visible, ma'am. You can go
Okay,
ahead.
thanks. Yeah. So, in the pathophysiology, we have understood that the allergens come in contact with the epithelium, then they trigger the dendritic cell, and the dendritic cell goes ahead into this Th2 pathway, and it causes the B cell to release IgE. The thing of importance here is that this IgE is released for this allergen. So suppose the allergen is dust mite, then the specific IgE is for dust mite. Suppose this allergen is pollen, the specific IgE is for pollen. So specific IgE, like the name suggests, is very, very specific. Whereas total IgE is all the IgEs together. But when there is a pollen allergy, the response is from specific IgE that is generated when a pollen comes in contact here. Okay, so this is the pathophysiology of how allergy happens in itself. Now coming to skin prick test. In skin prick test, it is a degree of cutaneous reactivity. Now, why is this cutaneous reactivity important? Cutaneous reactivity is important because that it is a surrogate marker. That is, it tells us what is happening in the body in general. The point of organ which is affected might be the nose, might be the lung, might be the GIT, but the skin is rich in mast cells, and these are specific IgEs are just there right below the skin. So this gives an idea about what is actually happening inside the target organ as well. That is why it is called as a bioassay in because it is a in vitro type of test. It's a bioassay which detects specific IgE on the mast cell of the patient. So what is done is the relevant allergens are introduced into the skin. Now, just below the skin, where there are specific IgEs waiting. It catches hold of the allergen we have introduced intentionally on the skin. The mast cells degranulate, they release mediators, and we see a wheal and flare response right there on the skin. So, this is exactly how it happens. This allergen is introduced by us with a small prick. This one is waiting, and the whole process starts. What we know when we do an SPT is that we know that this patient is sensitized. So there are two parts like we spoke about last time. Sensitization is that mechanism in which the allergen comes in contact and the specific Ig is produced and it is waiting for the next time when it occurs to throw up into a full-blown mast cell degranulation. It is important for epidemiological studies. When we do SPT in a general population, we know what the allergy trends are in that population. And also it can be used for screening to see what an individual is sensitive to, especially when there is a history of atopy. The advantages are many. One, it is a reliable method to diagnose IgE mediated allergic disease. Please note what I have written in bold, IgE mediated allergy disease. So non-IgE mediated disease or delayed hypersensitivity do not come under the purview of skin prick testing. So what do we know from this? We know this is a direct evidence that this patient has been sensitized to this allergen. It confirms the diagnosis of a suspected type of allergy. Like the mother comes and tells, I think my child has allergy to peanut, or I think it could be pollen. So when we do the skin prick test, we can tell them whether it is peanut, whether it is pollen, or is it just dust mite, which is causing all the different manifestations. It is minimally invasive. It is inexpensive when you compare it to analyzing specific IgE in the blood. Skin prick test is relatively inexpensive, and within 15 to 20 minutes you can actually see what goes on inside the target organs right there on the skin. So when the parent sees that their child is having this kind of a allergic response on the hand, it is easy for them to understand what is going on in the child's lungs or what is going on in their noses. So it is a clear evidence of what the child's or an adult's problem is. Second is we can test many different allergens. Like we often, though we believe we are allergic to dust, allergy is something we hear everywhere. uh, I have seen patients who come and tell that they have dust allergy, but when we go ahead and do a skin prick test, there is not much reaction to dust, but molds and cockroach allergens are pretty high. So they now know that there is more than one problem, more than one cause for their problem, and they find it easier to find solutions. So this is one of the very important advantages of doing a skin prick test. It is the advantages over other tests that we know in general are some are in this is an in vitro test. Lesser known allergens can be tested. Like suppose there are allergens that they say that I ate this particular vegetable and we do not have an allergen extract for that vegetable. You can still go ahead and do a skin prick test and have results. There are a few things we have to take into consideration when we approach a patient to do a skin prick test. That is that for all whatever we do and say, when we introduce a potential allergen into a patient's skin, there is a very negligible, but yes, that small chance of having an anaphylaxis is still there, though it is very, very rare. But in such case, the other pre-existing conditions tend to push them over into a state of anaphylaxis. So that is why pregnancy, unstable asthma, we do not, they're already having a severe bronchoconstriction. We do not want to add another challenge while testing. So unstable asthma. So these are where it is a relative contraindication to do this. There are drugs which interfere with testing, so they have to be taken into account. It is not a contraindication, but the timing of the test should be very carefully planned so that these drugs do not hinder the responses that we see. Generally, this test is done on the forearm or the back. And if there is severe eczema on the site where we intend to do the test, then it clearly is not it's not a good thing to do a test on that. And the other thing is about dermographism. Dermographism is a response where pressure or any stroking of the skin causes a wheal reaction. So this is a manifestation of a wheal and flare. It is not true allergy. It is a type of skin sensitivity. So when we do a skin prick test on patients who have dermographism, the wheal is confusing. We don't know if the action of doing a SPT has caused the wheal, or is the wheal a part of the allergic flare reaction that we want to see. Chronic illness, irradiated skin, it behaves in a non-standardized manner, so it becomes difficult to interpret. Also, recent anaphylaxis is a contraindication, not because they might have another anaphylaxis, it's because there has been such widespread mast cell degranulation that the intended allergen might not give that response that we want to see on the hand. So drugs which have to be stopped are antihistamines. Invariably, all the patients will be on antihistamine. So this is a drug that we have to stop before we go ahead and do a skin prick test. Topical steroids, like suppose they're applying steroid on the hand for some reason, that has to be stopped. And the other medicines like tricyclic antidepressants have to be stopped. Estemizole is the one which has a long half-life. So this is the one which potentially interferes, though very I've not had an opportunity to stop estemizole and do a SPT. The other drug which we have to keep in mind is beta blocker. A lot of our patients are on beta blockers. Now, beta blockers do not interfere with the result of the test. But what beta blockers do is they block the signs of anaphylaxis, because anaphylaxis uh, usually in anaphylaxis, there is a lot of histamine release and you need to give them adrenaline. So when there's a beta blocker, the typical signs may be masked. So for the sake of safety, beta blockers have to be always kept in mind when we deal with anything allergy. So let's start with the precautions for this. I'll come to the what kind of allergens, when to use what allergen a little later. SPT is safe, but it needs a healthcare worker's presence in case of reactions, especially when we are testing food allergy and drug allergy. Food allergy and drug allergy are very prompt with their anaphylactic reactions. So it is important that there's a healthcare worker, and suppose you need to resuscitate, you should be able to do it, and you have adrenaline ready on your cart. So yes, so this is one thing about testing for food and drug allergy. Reactions occur within 30 minutes, so it is better to observe them for 30 minutes after doing a skin prick test. High pollen season. Now, pollens are all over the place. The season is when there's a lot of pollens in the atmosphere, so the tendency to blow up into a complete allergic reaction is higher during pollen seasons. So that is one thing. And patients on beta blockers, like we discussed. So where do we test it? the volar aspect of the hand. Now we have to be sure that it is not at the cubital fossa or at the wrist. It should be in the center of the hand, or if this is the, like if patient's back, upper portion of the back can be used for testing multiple allergens. So volar aspect of the forearm or upper back in case of children. So we place the allergen as 1, 2, 3, 4 in different dots in different columns. So a small drop of allergen is placed. Suppose I want to test for dust mite. I place a small drop on one and do a small prick on one and wait for the reaction. Meanwhile, in my paper, I mark one as dust mite. So similarly, 2 might be peanut, 3 might be pollen. So all the different allergens are placed neatly far away from each other in a nice and tabulated form, so that you know what is there, what is number one, number two, like that. We use a metal lancet to gently breach the skin. Only the epicutaneous layer has to be lifted. The idea is not to prick. The idea is to introduce this liquid form of allergen right below the skin. We are not doing an intradermal test. This is very, very superficial prick. You will see that the patient doesn't even wince when we do a skin prick test. What happens if your breach is deeper? If you see blood spot when you do this, or if your breach is deeper than the epicutaneous layer, then the wheal flare might be a response to trauma and not to allergy. Ideally, we have to use a fresh lancet per prick, because we don't want the cockroach allergen getting mixed with the pollen allergen and pollen allergen getting mixed with all, and then you have no clue what the patient is allergic to. So how do you decide what is positive? So, and in this, we always have a positive control, that is histamine. We get histamine as a part of the allergen set, and this is used as the positive control. Anything that blows up like histamine is probably allergic because it's the same pathophysiology. And a negative control is saline. So saline, we do not expect any reaction to saline. So this is the positive and the negative control. Now, after we've placed all the allergens and pricked, we wait for 20 minutes for all this wheal and flare reaction to take place. And then, and wheal and flare reaction to take place. So that is when so once the wheal and flare reaction takes place, we measure it. So the largest diameter, when it is more than 3 centimeter, it is considered as a positive skin prick test. Okay. Now, what is the beauty of skin prick test? It is highly specific and sensitive. So 70 to 95% if done right, and 80 to 97% sensitive. And it has a, if on history you believe that it is allergic rhinitis, and it improves your positive predictive value, where only with history is 77%, but when you use SPT, it is increased to 97 to 99%. So you can tell your patient who has a lot of nasal discharge, and you want to do something for him, but it is so nebulous. So this is the best way to tell them and give them exact avoidance measures to what they're allergic to. So this is how allergens come, and it must be standardized. When we use unstandardized allergens, there are random reactions, and you don't know whether it is reproducible in reality. So it has to be preservative free and must be stored in the fridge. There is considerable interregional variability in what people are exposed to. We cannot expect the same plants to grow around Kochi and the same plants to grow in US, and people are uniformly allergic to the same things. So there has to be a little regional inclusion also when we are looking at what we are going to be treating. So these are the common allergens used, though it is all written like this. But if you go by classification, there are inhalational allergens are usually lighter, like they could be pollens, molds. Pollen can be mostly of grass and grass pollens, and molds are aspergillus. We've seen fusarium also. These are all pollens and molds, but some organic matter can also cause, um, like barley flour, wheat flour, people working in wheat mills. So these, they can be allergic to wheat flour. Vectors like tick, cockroach, dust mites. So if you can see here, there is this word called dermatophagoids farinae. So that is the name, that is the fancy name for um, dust mite. So that is referred to as DER, DER, DER P. DER P is dermatophagocytes tyrannosince. So this is DER P1, this is DER F. So this is how it is written on the allergens. So these are the different, so inhalational agents, we would probably be looking into this. Food substances, again, there's an, I'd like to add here cat dander. These all come under inhalational problems. Coming to food allergies, as usual, you have all this food, all what is eaten, anything that is eaten can cause allergy. So there is egg, there is lobster, peanut, all these, there are extracts for all this. Then something we see in doctors is latex allergy because of use of gloves where your skin tends to get sensitized. Occupational allergies is where in your place of occupation you are exposed to different kinds of allergens. So all these can be tested using skin prick. Suppose a patient comes and tells you that, see, this is this fruit and I'm allergic to this fruit. And please, can you tell me if I'm allergic to this fruit? Now, how are you going to do it? You do not have an allergen for that, but there's a slight a cruder method to find out. So you prick the, if it's a wet food, you prick the food and then use that to prick the patient. So it has to be a pure form food. You can't have an entire curry and let's check the curry. No, you have to break it down into ingredients. Dry food may need soaking to release allergenic substance. So this is a way to do very rarely when you have to, answer a question like to some particular thing that they're asking you about. Coming to the one question that all of us worry when we talk about SPT is an anaphylaxis sitting there right in front of you. So according to available literature, the overall risk of inducing an anaphylactic reaction is 0.02%. This is provided the test is done in an epicutaneous manner. This risk increases if it is a intradermal test. So an epicutaneous test and an intradermal test are different. So we'll come to that. Yes. Intradermal is deeper. So the challenge is higher. You would have seen when we ask for an antibiotic to be tested, just do a test dose. So we raise a small wheel, intradermal wheel, and this is actually a high dose that is placed intradermally if it is done without dilution, and the chances of an actual anaphylaxis is slightly higher. But luckily the main manifestations are itching, wheal and flare, so you know it right there. but an intradermal testing is necessary, and that is important when we have to rule out insect bite allergies and drug allergies. Here, a full strength drug is given fairly down in the series. We do not give a full strength drug if you want to rule out drug allergy right at the beginning. So a serial dilution where you reduce the diluent and increase the drug is done for intradermal testing. Okay, I have tried to answer a few questions which might be there in your mind. If the SPT is positive for more than one allergen, we have done the test on the patient's hand. There are more than one red wheal flare reaction. What is the inference? The inference that is that they may be allergic to more than one things. Their environment would have sensitized them. I'm using the word with great emphasis here, sensitized. Sensitized to one or more allergen. That is why we can have more than one positive SPT. So the positive control is not showing wheal and flare reaction. If the positive control, that is histamine, is not showing wheal and flare reaction, either there is some drug interfering in the general reactivity, or two, the histamine needs to be checked. If the negative control, that is saline, is showing wheal and flare, we do not expect saline to be dramatic at all, but saline is doing that, then it means that one, contaminant in saline, two, the patient's basal skin sensitivity is high, so you will have to treat every wheal and flare with a lot of caution. Now, the skin prick test is positive. We have huge wheals for mold and cockroach, but the patient says no, like, or if let's say food, there's a huge wheel for tomato, but the patient says no, I've been eating tomato, I have no symptoms. In this case, we take the patient's word as final on whether there is allergy to tomato or no, but he is sensitized, so there is the chance that somewhere in future he might develop an allergy to that. So now what if our patients have dermographism? In that case, we will go for all these blood tests which are more expensive. Can we do RAST instead? Yes, you can do RAST instead, but it takes time, it's more expensive. And the only problem here is that it is a sum total of all specific IgEs. So if you need to know, is it A, is it B, is it C, it is better to see the reaction on the hand. So this is just the basic of skin prick testing, and it is a very useful thing for all. It might be a very physician-like topic, but end of the day, if our patient is not better with a well-done FES, I think it's worthwhile spending time and understanding the real problem which has led to his situation. So skin prick test helps in diagnosing IgE type 1. We are not talking about delayed hypersensitivity. It is not type 2. This is for type 1, an immediate IgE response. It detects sensitization. That means the patient has come in contact with this allergen before. It is high chance that he will mount an allergic response the next time he comes in contact. It is safe, and visual evidence of the target organ response on the hand makes a lot of difference in understanding of the disease by the patients or their family. So the presentation is just this much. I can answer questions now. We could do that. Oh, okay. There are many questions. I think we should.
Yeah, ma'am. Shall we take up the questions?
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, I've enabled unmute option to the audience. So, if anyone wants to interact, they can just unmute and interact.
we will start with the questions which are already in place and then go to the people who want to ask.
Yeah, sure. So
Okay.
the first question was, how many days should the drugs be stopped before the test?
See, when you say drugs, like I told you, different drugs have different days of action. So if it is about antihistamine, 2 days should be good enough. But if it is about tricyclic antidepressants, slightly longer, if it is possible to do that. And yeah, if it is possible to do that. And like estimizole is longest 60 days.
So regarding steroids, ma'am?
Steroids, see, they say that oral steroids do not have much of a reaction to the cutaneous testing, but still we ask them to stop if it is possible. You know, some of these atopic patients can't really stop their steroids. They just lapse into the next bout of allergy. But yes, topical steroid, if they're applying something on their hand, should be stopped.
And some basic questions. So how many allergens are there in the kit, and what is the cost of the kit?
I know that cost differs from company to company, and it depends on what you're going to choose. So, yeah, so that is per allergen, it is the cost. I can find out and tell you if you can, but like offhand, I do not remember the cost of the test, but the total kit comes to approximately 10 to 15,000. And you
Okay,
can
ma'am.
do it for if you are very judicious and very careful with the way you use your antigens, you will probably for that entire time of its expiry, you will use that one kit. If you're going to like spray it all over, then it becomes a little difficult. So there is one question: why is only 20-minute timeline to wait and read the SPT? So 20 minutes is the duration within which their specific IgE will degranulate. So, and the histamine will start, the area where we've given histamine will start itching and redness very, like slightly sooner. So within 20 minutes, that allergen should have seeped down and incited the response. So that is why 20 minutes. And if you wait for too long, because it's a histamine reaction, it will slowly wear off over time. So within an hour or two, that entire hand will come back to looking like normal. So you have to finish this fast and get the response fast.
Ma'am, and what about nasal sprays? Should we stop them before doing the skin prick test?
No, when we do a cutaneous testing, nasal spray site of action is like localized in the nose, right? So nasal spray you need not really stop before you test on the skin. And corticosteroids that they use in asthma, it is better not to stop and create a compromise situation before inciting a possible anaphylactic like situation.
So
So
what
this
kind of
number of allergens, kit and cost question, we will probably, there are different, Merck used to produce some, then, so each allergen depends on the company basically. So the imported ones are more expensive.
Yeah, Dr. Garima, you can unmute.
Yes. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dr.
Ma'am, I want to know that when we are doing a skin prick test, we are actually using the allergen to know whether the patient is sensitized to it or not. Then why are we actually using the positive and negative controls, ma'am?
No. You are just please tell me clearly when we are doing a skin prick test.
We are using the allergen to see
Correct.
whether the patient is sensitized to that or not.
Okay.
Then why are we actually using the positive and negative controls, ma'am? Like, what do we want to infer from that?
See, to tell that a reaction is suggestive of a histaminergic response, we need histamine there to show, like, histamine is the positive control. Something that looks like a reaction incited by histamine is more likely going to be an allergic response.
Okay.
It, and it shows that there is a problem. There is a histamine releasing mechanism going on there. So that is why
Okay.
histamine is important. Now, why do we need a negative control? Suppose you have a 3 centimeter wheal for saline. We're not going to say that the patient is allergic to saline also. It means their skin, basal skin reactivity is high. So you will
Okay.
interpret all the results with caution. Suppose the 10 centimeter wheal, which is expanding and all that, you will be a little cautious when you see that. So it is important
Okay.
to have a positive and negative control when we do a skin prick test.
So, ma'am, can
I
we say
think we
that
have
the
Dr. Rohiwal sir in the audience, right? Sir?
A very good evening, madam.
Hello, sir. Good to hear from you.
A very nice presentation, lucid and clear concepts. Very useful presentation for everyone who has joined this particular activity.
Thank you.
Wonderful presentation. Sri Harsha has already asked you my questions. Those were about the nasal spray. Do they need to be stopped and all? And I'll be certainly interested in knowing the kit rather what you recommend, because we used to.
I will
Yeah,
tell
you can.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, please convey me. Thank you, madam. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
So happy to see you here, sir.
So nice to hear you, madam, after a long gap. It was a wonderful presentation. My congratulations to you.
Thanks. Thank you, sir. Okay, so the next question we have here is immunocap better when patient has see, immunocap cost close to 14,000, and again you will have to go through the history, and again you will have to, it's one prick. I understand that with immunocap it is good when there is a contraindication, like suppose severe eczema, you can't test, multiple comorbidities, can't stop the oral medicines, then yes, immunocap is better. But considering the ease with which you can do a skin prick test right there in 15 minutes, you're telling the patient what is happening inside, I would prefer immunocap. I'm sorry, I would prefer skin prick test. But yes, immunocap also is a good test. But then cost is a very limiting factor here. Because they spend 15,000 and then you'll tell them they're allergic to dust, and they'll be like, we knew this even before we spent so much money. So we have to keep in mind that how the patient takes the whole exercise as well. Can severe anaphylaxis occur with SPT? I showed you the data, 0.02%, but the risk is real. So we have to treat it. We have to learn how to catch it and treat it.
Any advantages of RAST over SPT?
Same thing, like you can tell the patient that I'm going to prick you only once and take blood and do it. But then it kind of shows all the IgE levels. So doing SPT is far more easier, according to me. Any questions more about this?
Yeah, also any questions from the audience?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, tell me.
Dr. Manju, ma'am.
Hi, Dr. Manju, please tell me.
What are the precautions
Your voice is breaking here. So,
Hello?
yeah, tell me.
What are the precautions to be taken before skin prick testing and after that, ma'am?
So one is, like I told you, we have to be sure that they don't have unstable bronchial asthma, and they're not in some kind of active, full-blown, they've not had a recent anaphylaxis. The medicines that are required to be stopped are stopped. And from your point of view, your allergen should be perfect, and you should have a crash cart nearby, and you have to know what you're testing and why you're testing. This. So your skin prick test will kind of narrow down that for you. So these are the precautions you have to take. You have to have a crash cart nearby, and all the other said things. And when you do it, the location wise, it shouldn't be too close to the wrist or too close to the cubital fossa. Each allergen should be kept at a distance of more than 2 centimeters from each other, so that there is no mixing up of reaction on the hand. You can use the back. For children, back is good because once they're lying prone on the bed and they're comfortable, they don't see that prick coming in every time. They may not feel it, but the sight of a needle is scary for children. So these are the things which I would say.
What are the sites other than arm and back?
I mean, this is where it is usually done, because the other sites are not, it is cumbersome to do anywhere else. It is easier for the patient to do on the back and arm only. If these sites are not available because of widespread skin infection, I would rather go for um, intravenous test. If we have two hands, such a large portion of the upper back. Lower back tends to be less sensitive, is what is written in the books. I've never had to go and test on the lower back. So, yeah.
Ma'am, how many allergens can we go for SLIT, slit?
For slit allergens for giving immunotherapy is mostly dust mites and pollens, and some about and this venoms. And there is one thing, there is considerable amount of cross reaction between allergens. Suppose there is a reaction for one kind of mold, there's a high chance the other two molds also will wheel and flare up. So you have to keep in mind. Suppose there's ragweed allergy, there can also be timothy grass allergy, because some amount of um, coincidence happens even when it is pollens. So avoidance of the whole thing in general helps. So if you ask me how many allergens can we go for slit, slit is approved majorly for dust mite and pollens, some amount for stings. Does this mean well-controlled asthma and milder forms of asthma aren't contraindicated? No, as long as the inhaler is continued, it is not contraindicated. Especially SPT is important when you have a patient who has been on treatment, not responding, and now you really want to know what is this IgE. That is when we go ahead and test for fungus. In most patients. So if you see the Benton-Kuhn criteria also for allergic fungal sinusitis, there is a IgE, specific IgE in that criteria. So yeah, specific IgE for fungus. This can be demonstrated on the hand, and that fulfills one of your criteria for allergic fungal sinusitis as well. So yes, well-controlled asthma, milder forms of asthma are not contraindicated. In fact, SPT will help in strengthening asthma control by adding avoidance measures to all what you do for the patient. The antigens tested may not be same as that of local prevalence. Yes, that is why you have to know the local allergens, and probably even procure local allergens, but standardization is very important when you procure it also.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, you use only one Lancet for one test?
Yes, I use only one Lancet for one test. We have one pile of Lancet at the end of the procedure. There you can also, I mean, in the sense, you can wipe the Lancet and use is what is also done. But then if such a small amount of allergen can incite a local response, whether our wiping and doing will remove that old allergen completely, I don't know. Right now, we use a single lancet per.
How much it costs? This lancet?
It comes with the box.
No, means if I test on one patient for 50 patients, 50
See, the
allergens.
economics of this whole thing, I will send it to you. Cost wise, see, we charge around 2,500 or for the skin prick testing.
How many allergens you test for that?
So we have around 20 inhalant allergens and 15 food allergens. Doing more than this is pretty futile. Like, there is no end to testing. There is
Okay.
no end to testing the what a person can be allergic to. So there are clear panels which we use to test. So there are for food, if it is predominantly food allergy, we include more food. But yes, whatever kind of allergy it is, whatever kind of allergy it is, dust mite has to be checked. A patient
Yes.
might be allergic to dust mite, but then he is reacting as if it's peanut allergy. But you will know that when you do the skin prick test.
Dust mite and this cat and dog dander is also
Cat
quite
and
common.
dog dander is pretty universal. Yes,
Yeah.
so you can test for cat, dog dander also. Uh, the other pretty, which is there all over, is fungal molds. So this is
Yes.
also something that we have to not overlook. Like, from personal experience, I always thought I was allergic to dust. So when I did my own skin prick test, I realized it was cockroach and not dust. So a good pest control helped. So my
Okay.
dust was I had zero wheel for dust. So this
Right.
is how it kind of changes entirely for some people. So
So
that is why
can you
to
tell
do
me, ma'am,
yeah.
from where to get these lancets and these allergens?
Huh?
From where to get these lancets and allergens?
There are many people who supply it, but the standard company is Merck. The ones we use are from Merck.
Can you give their address or something?
Yeah, maybe I'll pass it on to Dr. Sriharsha.
Okay. I'll write to him and probably
Yeah,
get from him.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam, how do you decide the dose of slit?
How do we decide the
Dose,
it is
dose
not
amount.
no in slit it is actually there are different dilutions, so it has to be started in a very phased manner, and again, if there is no standardized immunotherapy, so we actually need more predetermined standardized way of doing this. Slit dose, I don't know actually. What they're doing now is skit at least has proper dosage when you give it into the skin, but slit it is in terms of drops suspended in glycerol. So yeah, it is suspended in glycerol. So it is it what it is arbitrary. It is arbitrary because you cannot really tell how much allergen is there per drop when it is mixed in a random fashion. That is why we need standardization for doing AIT very properly. And as of now, most of the available AIT is which is sort of made for that patient, depending on the responses on skin prick testing.
Depending on the skin prick test means
Yes,
the
depending on what the
size of the wheel.
Size of, yeah, above 3 centimeter wheel is above 3. There's a above 3 wheel is very indicative of an allergic response. So yes, size of wheel, especially the ones which have pseudopodia like extensions, that is highly allergic to those things.
Thank you.
How much time does it take to do skin prick test? It takes about you have to read it in 20 minutes. So it takes about 20 minutes to do the whole thing fast, and 20 minutes to wait for it to start showing up. On overall 1.5 hours goes in doing this, and 30 minutes they will wait there to see if there's any other problem cropping up. Anything else?
Ma'am, I think we have answered almost many questions. Yeah, I think maybe we can call for the day.
Yeah.
Ma'am, and so a small announcement. We'll be doing one more session with ma'am on anaphylaxis next week. So I'll be posting all the link for registration and also in our Facebook and WhatsApp groups. Thank you once again, ma'am, for the short and very well lecture on skin prick testing. I hope the audience had a very good learning session for the day. With this, I would like to conclude, and once again, thank you, ma'am, and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.